call.
I'll call you right back, podcast. Will you talk into that however you're...
Yeah.
Oh,
okay. Yes.
Mike gets really loud.
I get really loud.
That's all right. I'll mess
Make
with these.
my voice project and everything. These are very cool stickers. I'm stealing all of them.
Those are all yours. Those are
Wow.
gifts for you guys to take your time out of your day
Prizes.
to talk with me.
Yeah, this is like the end of our day.
I appreciate it. That's what I was curious about. Like, what are your hours even? Like,
Are we doing this now, or are we saving it for the podcast?
Is this the start?
the podcast is already going.
Oh, is it?
man.
Oh, wow. Hey.
Mike checking everything.
Our hours are like, I don't know. I wake up at like 3:30, 3:45.
Yeah.
And then we're usually out of here at the station like noon
Yeah.
or so. I'm usually home by noon. We're usually home by noon.
I wake up at like 3:07.
What time do you guys go to bed?
Depends on what's happening.
Yeah, I'm a pretty bad sleeper. Like 3-4 hours a night.
Yeah.
Maybe 5 if I'm lucky.
It depends on what is happening. Like if there's a late Steeler game, we'll try to stay up for that.
Yeah, because I see you guys, like, if there's a Penguin game or anything like that, they're usually on till like 11:30, and then next morning you're on the
Yeah.
radio just doing what you do.
Yeah, usually if it's like regular season games, we'll be like, all right, whatever. But if it's a playoff game, like you kind of want to stay up and watch it. So, yeah, we don't operate on a lot of sleep, but it's not like we have real jobs anyway. So,
Now, you guys, are you originally from Pittsburgh?
no, Detroit.
Detroit, that's what I thought, right?
Best thing though is people we have been here so long and done our show so long that people think we're just from here.
I had no idea that you guys weren't from here, but my wife was like, they're not from Pittsburgh. And
Yeah.
I was like, are you sure? And she was
Yeah.
like, I'm 100% positive. I said, where are they from? And she said Detroit, and I was real surprised.
Yeah, we're from like a little suburb about, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes outside of Detroit called
Yeah.
Allen Park.
Allen Park.
Allen Park, Michigan, yep.
Are you guys big Eminem fans?
Yeah, when Eminem was,
Yeah.
I mean, starting to make it and everything. Yeah, I think like everybody at the age we were then in our 20s, I think everybody was basically listening to Eminem, like
Yeah.
8 Mile Days and everything. So yeah, we liked him.
How old are you guys?
Like I'm gonna turn 30.
I always mess it up. It's either 37 or 30.
I think you're
I'm
38,
I'm
and I'm
38.
37.
Oh, okay. So that makes sense. You're right in the vein of like whenever he was popping and shit.
Yeah.
It was like senior year of high school, junior year of
wow.
high school.
Jeez.
So yeah, it was a pretty big deal.
That's a pretty big deal. So, I mean, like, Detroit, how do you guys end up here?
Oh boy, here we go. Here we go with the story. All right, so we started in Detroit. I'll just go back to me and Bob both grew up together. We've known each other since like Little League Baseball.
Yeah, so let me tell you ahead of time. I've never interviewed more than one person at a time, and you guys.
This is special. Then.
Is this weird?
No, well, it's not weird. It's because I feel like I originally tried to get you in separately, and then I was thinking like, you've known each other. I mean, you guys really are.
We're really best friends.
Known each other forever, so I feel like that you're just an extension of each other,
Yeah.
and I
Pretty
feel
much.
like that it'll work out pretty well.
We don't do much other than like family stuff, like on our own.
Oh, I
Like,
bet.
I don't really go to Bob's daughter's softball games every day, but like other than that, we do like everything together.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do an event or an appearance or something like that, it's just me and Bob.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
and
that's
it's funny
pretty
because
cool.
the people we work with too, they know that too. So if like somebody's like, oh, I really want Mikey to go out here, it's just like, oh, well, do you want Bob to show up too? It's just like, well, I just.
As a
And it's
unit,
just like, nah, it's just, you know what it's like? It's like when you're in elementary school and you're picking teams and you're just like, oh, me and my best friend, if you pick us, we come in like a package. Like we're still doing that in
Somehow
our
we
in
beat
our
the
careers.
system to do that. Yeah.
well, that's good. I mean, like you're living the dream.
I mean, we
would
tried
assume.
college and everything too. That just didn't work out for us. So I think that's different about our story too. Like most people go to like college and get like a broadcasting degree or
Yeah.
whatever.
Communication.
Yeah, like I have
degree.
no
Yeah,
idea.
communications degree.
I have no idea what's up with you guys. So, like, when did you first meet?
Little League Baseball. I'm probably 10 years old. We went to separate elementary schools because our city had 2 elementary schools.
Yeah.
And then 1 middle school, 1 high school. So We met Little League Baseball and then, went to school.
So you're running on 3 decades of friendship.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty much. Yeah.
That's probably why it works so well together because, doing this podcast, I realize like shit that I do bad and it's like I'll talk over people and it's pretty bad. But, if you listen to you guys, it's like you already have that like already ingrained, like you can work well off each other. And it's super interesting because I didn't know if you guys went to school for this or like, if you kind of just fell into it somehow.
Well, we kind of went to school for it, but yeah. So this would happen like we go to college. Bob went to like Henry Ford Community College, it was called.
It was like the 13th grade. Like everybody that didn't go to a real college went to the community college.
Yeah, it's like Cal U and CCAC around here.
Yes, like kind of on that level-ish. Kind of.
I wouldn't even say it's on that level because it was pretty bad.
And then I went to University of Michigan Dearborn. That's where I started going to school. Bob dropped out after a semester. And then I lasted about 2 semesters. And the funny thing was I don't think either of us really had the dream to get in radio when we were growing up. Like everybody that gets into radio and has a job on the air, a lot of times it's always like, I've always loved radio.
Yeah.
These were my influences growing up and everything. And we're literally in radio because it seemed easy and we had no other like skills.
What did you want to do in the beginning?
Man, I don't know.
Any inhibitions?
I kind of wanted to be a teacher a little bit, but I had no idea what I was going to go to college for. I think that's why we dropped out so fast, because it's like, all right, how much debt do we want to get in before we just call this off?
Absolutely. You're 15 years old, and they're like, decide what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I'll go to school for a couple years, and it sucks, and you're already 50 grand in debt.
Right. But it was actually Bob that really made the move to radio.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I enrolled in a broadcasting school, which looking back at it was like 8 months. It was supposed to be like some specialty school that you go to.
It's like a trade school.
Yeah, like kind of like a trade school.
Yeah.
They don't teach you much. Like we didn't really learn anything. They were teaching us like how to do like farm reports, which is just like the weirdest thing. Like the cost of cattle and like pigs trading and
in
stuff
broadcasting
like that.
school.
You have to know that because like for most people, their first radio job is going to be in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
With like ancient equipment, and you have to know all that stuff.
Yeah.
But we both went to like 4 months of that, and then we got an internship, and it was like I got an internship first. I did my whole internship to 3 months, and they hired me at a radio station in Detroit.
What kind of like radio station?
It was like ours. It was like it was like a KISS station.
Yeah.
It was called 93.1 DRQ, and then Mike took my internship at that point, and he was in then, and then it's like as soon as we got in there, it was like, wow, this is like a real radio station. Just like we don't need to go back to school anymore.
Jeez. So what were you doing in the beginning when you got hired there?
Hanging banners. I worked for free for like a year.
Yeah.
And then we got hired, and we were hanging banners, going to concerts, handing out things like promotion stuff.
Wow.
We weren't even on the air. And then like the night guy who was doing nights at that time, he was, I don't even know what it was. What was it that?
I think he was just observing us in the office.
Yeah.
And we just have always had this sense of humor that we have now.
Yeah.
And the guy who's doing a night show at the station in Detroit, he just, we would do random events with him and stuff. And he's just like, you guys really want to be doing that? Or do you guys like want to actually be on the radio? And we're just like, oh yeah, I mean, that's what we're here for eventually.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
we started like interning with him at night, and he was letting us randomly talk on the mic and stuff like that.
We still weren't getting paid though. So we'd go work like 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in the office, and then his show was like 6 p.m. to midnight. So we'd go 6 p.m. to midnight, and then we'd either do like production, behind the scenes stuff, or we'd end up at a bar or club. And I mean, we were still 19, and you were 18. No, you were probably 19 then, right?
Probably 19 when we first started.
Yeah. So I mean, it was just
that's crazy.
We'd
That's
go
how
home for like 3 hours
in.
a day, and then come back and do it again. Yeah.
Wow.
Our parents thought we were crazy because everybody else either has like a part-time job and is going to school. And
Yeah.
there was times where we would spend 20 hours at the radio station.
Really?
We just wanted to learn everything we could, whether it was the controls, production, just any element of the radio station. Once we got in, it just like
Grabbed you.
engulfed us. We were just like, okay, people get paid to do this. Like, I want to learn everything. Like,
Yeah,
we weren't
absolutely.
even sure what we wanted to do. We kind of wanted to be on air, but I was just like, I could work at a radio station for the rest of my life. Like,
Yeah.
I could do programming or anything. So we were just talking to everybody and just learning everything.
And it was like the same format of like radio station, like pop, like
Yeah, it was like top 40 music. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like MTV TRL years, kind of. So like
right.
a little,
late boy bands.
This is like probably 2001.
But still, like, I mean, Eminem was huge, bigger than life in Detroit, so it was a lot of Eminem, a lot of D12.
Wow. That's crazy that's how it kind of led to be. Now, in high school and shit, like, I always kind of go back to high school and see how people were. I mean, like, if you guys were good friends in high school, like, what did yinz do? Like, what did yinz do for fun? Yinz play sports? Did yinz, like...
I'm like 6'8", so people always think I play basketball.
Yeah.
But I was never really all that good. I played my junior year, and then I got really sick my senior year of high school. I had a bad senior year. I had spinal meningitis.
What?
So, like, I was in the hospital for like 2 weeks straight.
Really?
Yeah. So, like, I didn't have a very good senior year of high school, so I didn't have, like, a senior year of basketball, but I was just never really all that good. I just played because I was tall and all my friends were playing.
That's why I play football.
Yeah, exactly.
Just a big idiot running around.
I always tell people, it's so funny because people, when they say how tall I am, they're just like, oh, how tall are you? And then you're like, all right, well, 6'8", 6'9". Do you play basketball? And they're just like, no. And then you like disappoint people.
You get all them weird questions like, oh, you hit your head on lights and shit.
Yeah, all that stuff. I'm just like, do you care what I do for a living? No, if you don't play basketball, it doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah.
Or a kid will ask you if you can dunk, and then you're just like, no, not really. And
Can
then
you
it's
dunk?
like, oh, come on, man.
You're just like, for my safety, I haven't tried to dunk in 15 years.
Okay. Well, then that answers that.
But like, I mean, growing up, we were just, we would drive around together a lot. And it's funny because a lot of times on our show, we will randomly sing things like Biggie songs, Tupac songs,
Crossroads.
but Bone Thugs. Loved Bone Thugs and Harmony growing up. But then like also Britney Spears, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Like we have a vast knowledge of like that era of music, and a lot of it is because us and other random people that we were kind of friends with in high school. Our Friday and Saturday nights, we would just drive around in Bob's car usually and just listen to music. And I mean, yes, we were out like looking for girls, but we weren't
getting them.
We were somewhat the same shape we are now.
Yeah.
So we were very awkwardly shaped. So
I know how that feels. I know that game. You got to rely on the personality and everything.
Yeah, but we would waste a lot of time just driving around listening to music.
What kind of car do you have?
Mercury Cougar.
Ooh, that's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
You can't beat it.
It was like mid-'90s Cougar.
I got a 92 Buick.
I would armor all the hell out of it all up.
Shine it up.
Yeah, try to make it look real good.
That's good, though. So, I mean, that's crazy. So, like, after you're getting into, like, this radio shit, and it's like you kind of get your foot in the door there, it's just like it was kind of off to the races after that?
Well, it was off to the races, but then the race stopped because we got fired from the station in Detroit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. It was kind of a long story because we were working in the promotions department at the same time, and the guy we were working with got like kind of let go from the night show that we were slowly becoming a part of.
Yeah.
So when he got let go, they just kind of,
grouped us together.
Yeah, and they were just like, we just kind of.
But we literally didn't know we were fired until we showed up at the building, and there was like a key card thing that you scanned your key card.
It just wouldn't work.
We showed up and we literally hit the shit. It turned like red like 3 times, and we're like, oh, this isn't working, man. It was like the saddest walk ever back to our cars.
I remember we sent an email, though. We're just like, hey, I don't know what happened, but our key cards don't work. And we're just trying to, we were trying to get into the radio station because the guy we had worked with had gotten fired. And we're just like, all right, well, let's go in and make like a demo tape that we can send out to radio stations all across the country and try to get a job, just try to get our foot in the door with someplace else. So that's what we were going up to do. But they had, like Bob said, they had shut our key card off. So we emailed, we're just like, hey, can we just get in real quick and make a demo tape?
A voice test.
And then it was just like we didn't exist. We didn't get any response back. So, but we had kind of like a rough demo tape at that time.
It was so bad.
It was real bad. We've played it on our show here a few times, and it is the most cringeworthy. Just
like what was like you guys? I mean, I don't know how you would even classify your show. I mean, it's called The Freak Show, and I feel like that's a good name for it. I mean, you could hear about anything from that guy on Cops saying panties.
Yeah.
That was one of the funniest. Panties. Or like you hear about like the Florida shit, and then you could get into the Facebook comments. Like you got all these like, is that kind of the template that you guys had in the beginning, or were you doing things differently?
It was definitely a different show when we first started.
It just kind of evolved. I'm sure, kind of like your podcast. You know, like you evolve. You find out what works and what doesn't. And like if you go too long or too short, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess you kind of feel it out as it goes. Yeah. And like I'm sure in the beginning, like you're kind of like walking on eggshells a little bit with your first, like once you're in there,
right?
It's like you got to do things right, and you can't get too free with it.
Well, let me fill in our radio gap here.
Go ahead.
Because we get fired in Detroit, and there was a time where. So we aren't working at the radio station. We're sending out just a shitty demo tape to any place we can find an address for a radio station.
We aren't even getting responses back. Like nobody's even writing back.
Anchorage, Alaska.
No place.
Really?
Nowhere.
Kalamazoo, Michigan. Like, I remember there was one program director who wrote us back from Bloomington, Indiana. I can't remember his name, but he was like the only one to even write us a letter back that just says like, hey, I filled the position, but, you know, keep pushing. And I was just like, all right, one person out there actually is doing the right thing. And, you know, we didn't get hired, but they're just like,
you.
Hey, keep doing. It's the only response we got. Well, no, we got
another response. We scared the hell out of the guy.
So we got a response from the guy in Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name either.
No clue.
Now, why these random spots? Is it pretty much anywhere that you were?
Any small market we could find, we would send a tape to.
Really?
We would just send like MP3s or like a physical like CD copy of our demo to any radio station we could find an address to. We didn't even care where it was. We were willing to move to Alaska to just have a job and be on the radio because we knew we'd already got that taste and we already thought like, okay, we could have our own show, we could do something like this.
Absolutely.
So anybody that was going to open the door for us, it didn't matter how much they were going to pay us, it didn't matter where it was, we were going to go
just to get your foot in the door.
And we would take it from there because once radio got taken away from us in Detroit at the station, we were just like, we didn't want to have that feeling again.
And there was a chance of us going back to college. Like we were sitting around for like 3 months, just like, man, are we really gonna have to go back to college? It's like shit's not happening for us. Like none of this is working. And then we got one like response back from the one guy in Kalamazoo, and he's like, I like your guys' stuff. I think you got potential. He's like, but I only got like $15 an hour for like one person.
No. Not $15. That was $15,000 a year.
Oh, $15,000. That's what it was.
$15 an hour would have been manageable.
That's more than
been rich.
You're right. It's $15,000 for the year.
$15,000 a year. He
Jesus.
said. But he's like, we only have it for one person, not two people. And we were just like, that's cool. We'll take it.
Oh, really?
Like, we were willing to make. $7,500 a year.
We scared the shit out of that guy.
And we were just like, we'll get another job at like a grocery store or something like that. And we never heard from him again.
Wow. I mean, you were out there ready to get it. You were trying to get in there.
So the funny thing is for those, whatever it was, 3 or 4 months that we didn't have a job when we got fired from the station in Detroit, we did a lot of just sitting on my back porch, my parents' back porch, playing a lot of Madden and just, talking.
Yeah.
And my parents were like, when are you going to go back to college? They were kind of like, this has been a little while now. When are you going to go back to college? And Bob's parents thought we were gay.
Yeah, my parents thought we were gay and like hiding it from everyone. Like I had to have that talk with my parents one like night.
That is wow.
How did they approach you?
I don't know. I think
did they sit you down? Like, was it all serious?
No,
like, they didn't want to offend
like,
you,
or
it
was cool, but it was just like an awkward conversation. It was more like, hey, you and Mike have been hanging out a lot together. Just like, you got anything you want to tell us? And just like, what? And like, we're unemployed. Like, we don't have nothing to do. All of our other friends are at college. Just like
we both have the same dream, and we're both unemployed. What do you want us to do?
I think my mom's just like, it's okay if you guys are like, in a relationship together or something like that.
Which I'm not gay. Me and Bob are both married. But then I keep thinking, if I was gay, Bob's parents think like I would be interested in Bob. So that was like a whole nother thing. I'm like, wait, your mom thinks like I like bigger dudes. Like, I'm not gay, but I don't know if I'd be into bigger dudes.
Nothing wrong with big guys.
I know, but like, listen, there's a separation between being friends with a big man and making love to a big man.
You're right.
How do you transition from that? Right?
Off the rails now. Off the rails now.
No, this
right?
podcast is just getting started. This is good. So, I mean, I think it's cool that you guys kind of got into it a little bit early, and like you kind of. So your first experience of it was like late night radio.
Yeah.
Now, late night radio compared to like the morning show that yinz do now, like, is there different like parameters or shit?
God, yes.
There's no rules.
Really?
Not now there are, but when we were doing it, there weren't very many rules.
Now, was there people like who were the radio people that were like big at that time that yinz were trying to get into it? I'm sure Howard Stern was in there.
Yeah, I mean Howard Stern's always been big.
He's been, what is he, 80 now probably?
Yeah, I've never been like a huge Howard Stern fan just because I never really listened to him.
I never had
he
Sirius.
Does incredible interviews and everything.
Yeah, like I'll listen to the clips, but like,
you know what's funny is like even growing up, like I don't remember ever listening to like a morning show driving to high school or anything.
No.
Like radio just was never on my radar.
Yeah, it was always just CDs bumping mixtapes and shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I think the first time I started listening to you guys is whenever I started going to PTI. I was going to right out in Robinson. I would drive from McKeesport every day, so it was like an hour commute, and I would have to be up early, so I would start listening to the morning show, and it's like, I mean, you guys are just. It's fun to listen to. Like, it's different than like I'm not real big into sports really. Like, I played football my entire life. I don't watch anything really.
Right.
But so you got the Fan, you got some other shit. But you guys are playing like, you know, if anything funny happens, you're playing Crossroads in there. You got you throw in stuff that's more relatable to. I feel like, you know. I guess.
Yeah, I think that's all we try to do. Like every day is we just try to find, you know, like say you're listening. Well, you had a long commute, an hour, but if you have like 20 minutes or whatever, we just try to make people laugh and keep their day moving, whether it's something that's relevant from TV last night or some dumb shit that we found on the internet, you know?
Yeah, I think that's what's always like what kind of hits home with people rather than talking about like, you know, random, you know, politics and shit like that. If you're talking about
awfulness of the world,
you kind of get it.
Shield the awfulness of the actual world.
Exactly. You try to like
because-
put the funny shit in. You're like, I don't ever talk about like politics and shit like that. It's because like, you know, people hear that shit every day on the news. It's like why people want to try to escape from it and hear other things. But so I mean, like after you're sitting there on this porch and you're waiting and convincing them you're not gay, like how does that manifest? Like, did you send something to Pittsburgh?
So what happened after that was the guy who got fired in Detroit that we were with got a call to do a night show in Philly. And he like calls us out of the blue one day and he's like, we're on the radio tomorrow night in Philadelphia. Like, pack your stuff, we're going. And me and Bob were just like, Mom, Dad, see ya, we're going to Philadelphia.
Holy shit, just like that.
Just like that. It was just like, we got another chance, and this guy was like not going to go to Philadelphia unless we came with him.
Now, was it going to be like a trio on the radio?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like we had, I think maybe...
It was the same dynamic as the Detroit show, like same thing that we had going on that was going good until we screwed it up. Well, at that time, like Disney owned the Detroit station that we were working at, so our show was a little much for whatever they were trying to go for there, even though it was the same kind of music, so that kind of didn't work out, and then we transitioned to the Philadelphia station.
Yeah, and then we lived in Philadelphia for about a year and a half and did a night show there, and it was the most out of control period of our lives. Like, we were there for just under 2 years, but like, so you got to imagine where we're at in life now. Like,
how old are you right now?
I'm 20 years, 20?
Yeah, you're 20. I'm
and
21.
how old's that dude?
And Bob's 21.
And he's 10 years older than us, so he was 31.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we are just like, and all of our friends are just in college, you know, a lot of them were going to like Michigan State University and like Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah.
So we are like on our own. We're doing a nighttime radio show. We're like the sidekicks of this nighttime radio show in Philadelphia. And like we said, I'm not even legal to drink yet. We were doing 6 different club nights a week where we would go out after our show, go to a club, and again, I'm only 20 years old. Not only am I drinking at the clubs, they're paying,
I mean, all that was going on in Detroit too, but that's beside the point.
they're paying us in cash to be at the clubs. So
Wow.
There's like 5-6 nights a week where we're just out at bars. And it's so funny because I remember
Philadelphia is just a blur.
It is. It was a blur. It was a blur.
And you were there for like 2 years?
We did a lot of drinking. Yeah, just under 2 years. But like I remember my brother, I have an older brother who came and visited me, and we took him to a club, and I'm just like, you're about to like...
It's chaotic.
You're about to, like, they are going to give us basically control of, like, we have microphones. We're walking around just, like, yelling and going wild.
Wow.
I remember one time Bob almost lit himself on fire because they had him bartending. Well, you weren't really bartending. We had developed all these relationships with a lot of clubs and bars, and Bob would just go behind the bar whenever he wanted to get whatever he wanted. And at one time, he decided he saw one of the bartenders breathe fire. Right? You know,
151.
Yeah.
So Bob tried to do that and almost lit himself and probably the club on
I'm like
fire.
12 drinks deep and like singeing my eyebrows off trying to breathe fire in front of everybody.
So
There weren't many rules, though. There weren't any rules at all.
No.
I remember like one club, it was... I remember one of the clubs, it was like your 21st birthday or like right around there. We're going to throw a birthday, but they're like, he's not 21? Just like, what?
Yeah, right, yeah.
It's just a shock.
Like Mikey's 21st birthday, and I've been throwing parties there for a year already. Yeah.
I mean, there were nights that were so out of control on the radio there where we'd be on the air like talking, and we had an apartment that was probably 10 minutes from the station. We were St. Joe's campus. Like St. Joe's is right outside of West Philadelphia. We were living right there.
Yeah.
And we just told people, just like, come to our apartment, just like, let's throw a party. It's like
Holy shit.
stuff that would never happen now, just because you're so liable if somebody gets hurt.
Yeah, absolutely. Back then it was
God
like
only knows.
Wild
We were
West.
just like, we have a DJ if anybody wants to come to our apartment after the show. And like, we're saying this in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
This is a major city
there are
with
no
millions of
rules.
people.
Did you like living out there?
Yeah. We both met our wives there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, both of our wives are from Jersey. Bob's wife's from North Jersey.
Like
My wife's
I don't
from
remember
South Jersey.
enjoying anything about the city though. Like there was never like where I'd go like out in the city other than a bar or
Yeah.
club.
We lived in a haze when we were in Philly. We never had the experience of taking in everything Philadelphia. Like we never went to like the art museum or anything like that. We basically did the radio show and then just partied.
And what are the hours of the show at this time?
It's like 7 to 11.
Yeah.
Probably. But then, like I said, we'd be at a bar or club almost every night of the week. So we
Either
were
11 to 2 or 11:30 to like 3, depending on what bar or club. And
It was the exact opposite of the schedule we're on now.
Yeah.
So we would sleep during the day and work during the night.
And just rage after.
Yeah. It was a wild time. We could tell stories about those 2 years for the rest of the podcast. Bob.
People will fill it in, I'm sure. That's pretty sick, though. I mean, like, it's cool you got to go over there and experience that a little bit. So, I mean, like, while you're working there with that guy, like, are you getting, like, more, like, free reign of, like, things to do?
Yeah. I think that time is where me and Bob really started forming what our show is today.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times he would just come in and he would be like, what do you guys want to do on the show today? And we would already have things planned out for him. Like, we should do this, we should do that, you know? So that's kind of where me and Bob really learned how to do a radio show ourselves, even though there was somebody else
that was in there
leading the show.
Like, overseeing it.
Yeah, this is where we could come up with an idea and we would carry it out that night. And that's when we were just like, oh, okay, this is really kind of starting to be part of our ship too, just as much as it is his.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the show that we have now manifested. And we knew the guy who was running KISS here in Pittsburgh from Michigan.
Oh, okay.
it just so happened he moved here to run this station.
And then he was looking for a morning show because they were just running some, like, I don't know, syndicated morning show. I don't even remember who it was or anything.
It wasn't anybody from Pittsburgh or live here or anything.
I want to say at one point it was out of L.A. At one point they had like a syndicated show out of Seattle.
It was just awful.
Yeah, nobody
Like the
would-
ratings were literally like none. Like it was like nobody listening to the station.
Yeah, I try to think about, like, what I remember from whenever I was younger. I'm 29 right now, but, like, if my mom ever drove me to work, it was always, like, John, Dave, Bubba, Shelley, and, like,
Right.
not B94.
Yeah.
But then, like, I remember whenever they disbanded and there was nothing, and I think that's whenever I got into, like, you know, the mixtape, like, iPods, mix CDs and everything, and then, I mean, it kind of, like,
You randomly stumbled upon us.
Yeah, randomly came across it because it's like you put on 96.1, and once you hear like one of them things you could relate to, it kind of like it's like a vacuum. It keeps you like coming in a little bit.
Yeah.
Now let me interrupt before we get too deep into this. I always forget, but I do an opening segment with all my guests. It's called "What's in the Cup." What's in your guys' cup?
What's in the cup?
Oh, man.
Turner's, of course.
Turner's right here.
Now, I asked you, I said, what's your guys' favorite drink? I get it for all my guests. And you said, you sent me a beautiful picture of a Thug Jug on the Roberto Clemente Bridge.
A Thug Jug?
Thug Jug. I heard that on here for the first time from B. White, actually. And I know that you guys are big B. White fans in the 58s. But the Turner's Iced Tea. I had Steven Turner on here, and it's just been kind of going ever since then.
Turner's is the best. Yeah,
Can't beat it.
We love Turner's.
Did you have a tea from your hometown? Like, was there any like a local tea like that?
Not that I can remember.
No, there was nothing. I'm trying to think is there anything even remotely like that?
I try to think like anywhere you go, like if there is like a Turner's
of
in that
Michigan,
area.
I mean, in Michigan, not so much tea, but Faygo Pop is huge in Michigan.
Oh yeah,
Faygo Pop.
you guys like ICP?
I knew that question was coming next.
It's
not really.
Not a big fan?
Not really my thing. I mean,
It's so weird because ICP is such a big thing, but like, and we were growing up at that time too. It's like the whole Eminem ICP thing happened.
Yeah, it had to have.
But I don't feel like there were that many people around us listening to ICP. Like, it's such a weird subset of people.
It's so weird.
Are huge fans.
You know who Adam 22 is?
Yeah.
So he has all these random people on there, and they do interviews.
Mm-hmm.
He had ICP on there, and like,
those dudes are super smart though.
I fucking hate clowns so much.
And everything.
And whenever you guys, I came to Scare House. Whenever you guys were dressed up as clowns, scared the fuck out of me.
You couldn't
But
handle it?
I hate it. I hate clowns. And then these two dudes, it's basically like Guy Fieri, just like as a clown.
Yeah.
And I hated them. I mean, the music is what it is. I just don't understand people spraying pop all over themselves. But then I listened to them on this podcast, and it's just 2 hours of them and how fucking smart they are.
Completely different than what they are.
Oh my god!
On their albums,
like they're still them raw dudes where they're like going to jail and shit like that.
Yeah.
But they're honestly like geniuses.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was cool to hear about that.
They made a ton of money.
A ton of money. They donated a crazy amount too. It's just wild.
Dude, it's funny because we used to do, we did a version of Stuff with us, like with the other guy with us in Detroit.
Oh, okay.
And like all the ICP, I don't know what the hell their record label is called, but like they would always bring out like tons of stuff.
Oh,
tons
really?
Tons of stuff. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, so you picture those guys as big bad clown,
Do they show up in face paint?
No.
I would just be like, nah, can't do it. But anyway, like that dude that dude from Michigan moved here in KISS and was looking for a radio show in the morning.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of just signed up for it.
Yeah, the other guy came with us, and then
It was three of us to start out with the same thing.
Yeah, so it was like a 3-man show from our Philly night show, and it was fine when we started off and everything, and we were still definitely different than most morning shows were.
Yeah. What year was this again?
God, when did we start? Was this 2005?
4?
2004?
Yin's been doing this for 15 years?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's crazy to think about.
It's great. The crazy thing is that
I was 22 and you were 21.
That's what's bizarre is like you guys are that young and like you start with it.
So this is how that all came together, is because the other guy that was with us, after about 2 months, he was just like, I don't like this. I don't like waking up early in the morning. Me and Bob were basically planning the whole show at that time. And he was just like, I thought I would like this. I don't like waking up early in the morning. I don't want to do a morning show. He's like, I need to go back doing a night show. That's what I do. So then that was like another time in our radio careers where we're just like, man, we had this taste again and we're about to get it ripped away. We didn't know what the hell was going to happen.
Because we've never really done a show
like on your own.
Two of us.
No, we've always just been sidekicks.
Now, you're obviously like learning on like all the techie shit while this is all going on. Now, at this time, did you feel that you were like pretty competent in everything?
No. Actually, I still don't feel like we're competent in anything, which is kind of funny. But no, I was not confident. Like, I run the controls during the show. I was not confident to run the controls for a city like Pittsburgh to be in charge of a morning show. No, I had no confidence in
Wow.
that.
And I think our bosses had like the guy quit, right? So then we were just like, we're not going anywhere. Like, we're in. Like, you guys want to give us a try? And there was like a 2-week period where they're just like, we don't know what the hell to do.
They brought in a few people to
like,
just go to
interview?
lunch with us
Yeah.
and just interview like other people there was some guy from Florida. I don't know, but there was a couple people that they were thinking like, all right, we'll bring them in with Mike and Bob and they'll lead the show. And everyone they brought in, they were just like, that's not going to work.
You
And
guys
then
were your
we
own.
would just be like, yeah, it's not going to work, you know?
You guys were just your own.
Yeah. So after, and it was funny because for those 2 weeks, we were playing like best of material
Yeah.
from our first 2 months here. So it was just like real bad, you know?
Like, it was
Wow.
stuff that played like last week is playing again
Yeah.
this week, you know?
So at one point, a lot of our bosses here, like this guy named Gene Romano, who believed in us at the beginning, this guy Dom Theodore, and our boss at that time who was running the station, Mark Anderson, they just got to the point where they were just like, you guys just want to go on and do it? Like, it was nothing to lose at that point. You
Yeah,
know,
'cause
we
they were-
already started a morning show with 3 people. There was no option that was fitting, and it was just like, well,
Replays are playing, so it's
you
like,
might as well just turn the mics on.
So is there not like the ratings at that point, whenever you guys started yourself, weren't anything like?
No, we came in. The messed up thing is we came in as a threesome, right? We were on. I keep saying threesome; it just sounds so weird. But we were on for whatever the 2 months, and the ratings already jumped. Like we were already smashing the
okay.
ratings. So
Yeah.
that's another thing they didn't know what
we
to do with
fuck
us.
shit up from day one here.
Yeah.
We fuck shit up from day one here. Yeah.
And
the
now-
ratings were up like over some demos, like over 200% and stuff. Like, I still have a printout
Oh, wow.
of like the first ratings
Yeah.
we got because it was just like, oh, people started tuning into this frequency for the first time ever. And it was just like, we would double and even triple some of the ratings in the demos when we first started.
Now you were able to like tell that in the beginning though. Like once you like, I mean, your first show that going out there, I'm sure you guys are nervous to like do your first show.
Yeah, it's just me and Bob.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
you two. And like, can you like, when did you start to notice that you were gonna that like things were gonna work out a little bit? Like, were you always getting like a good response, or was it in the beginning people were like, you're kind of weird?
No, it has been positive in Pittsburgh since day one.
Really?
Yeah,
It
we
has
started
been.
out doing like listener numbers.
What's that?
We would keep track of like people call in, tell us like what they do. Like we started out the first couple months doing that during our show, like all the time. And like random people, like I'm a nurse. My name is Anna. I'm from the South Side. We're like, all right, you're number 562. You're a new listener, and we'd write it down in like a.
Oh,
a
so Yinz
notebook.
actually knew like who was calling. and
Yeah.
stuff
So
like
then
that.
when they called back, they'd be like, I'm number 562. We'd flip through it real quick, look it up, and be like, hey, Anna, what's up? And
That's how we
we
started.
built that bond with some really good
Wow.
listeners.
Because we just figured the station had no listeners in the morning.
Yeah.
So when we first came on, we were just like, listen, there's nobody listening here. So if you're listening, just call us up and let us know something about you.
Yeah.
And we're going to like write your name down in this notebook and everything. And we're going to literally keep track of all of our listeners if we can. And still to this day, I have 3 big spiral notebooks. I mean, I don't know why I never typed this out
Yeah.
because that would have been easier. But I have 3 notebooks full of thousands of names from us just numbering our listeners for like the
Wow.
first what 2 years we were here maybe
2
or something.
years, yeah, that would just be a part of our show.
When did you stop doing that? 2 years after?
I think we hit like 26,000, and it was
Holy
just too much.
shit.
Like people call and we'd have to search for their number and be like, it was just too much.
Yeah.
Like it just became too much.
But also by then, me and Bob had figured out how to run our show.
Yeah.
It gave us like the buffer, and not that all we were doing were giving out numbers and stuff like that, but it gave us
It
like
makes
just
people
that little buffer to
It
like.
makes people like you. It makes them feel
Yeah.
better as a listener. Like you feel like it's personal.
Yeah.
Like you're personally being involved with them. That's pretty cool though. I
And
never
we didn't
knew
know
that.
what the hell we were doing.
Yeah, I
so
mean-
it was just the easiest way to just talk to people. That was it.
Dude, and that was like before you could make like a Facebook group or like something like that. You
Yeah,
know,
to
like
help
before-
along with it.
Yeah, it was just like
Yeah, I didn't even think about
Those
that. To do
notebooks.
all this before all social
I was
media
just
and
writing
everything.
into notebooks.
Wow, that's pretty nuts. Now, while you're doing all this and you're doing all the listener numbers and everything, like, do you have like a template of what the show is? Like, I mean, usually you guys start out, you're playing songs, then you do some segments. Now, did you have something that you had to follow pretty rigidly?
We were playing a lot more music
Okay.
when we first started.
Yeah.
I think just because our bosses probably just didn't trust us to do like a morning show that was
to like fill time.
Yeah.
Which was probably right.
Definitely smart.
23 years old.
Yeah.
Definitely smart.
I was fucked up on the south side last night.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the other thing too, is we were so young. We were by far the youngest like top 40 morning show in the country, because even for a market like Pittsburgh, which
Pittsburgh's not a small city.
no,
either.
it's not a small city. It's still like a top 30 market in the United States. So this is still like a pretty big, medium-sized market to be in. So it was just like unheard of that there are just these two kids who have a morning show. Like that would have been a fine night show at that age.
Yeah.
But for us to have a morning show, it was just like
with all those type of people listening in the morning, it's different than the people that are listening at night, obviously, for sure.
And it's funny now because we've been doing the show 15 years, and most morning shows aren't going to last 15 years in the same place. Or if they do, there's going to be some sort of like, well, that guy stayed, but this guy left.
Yeah, and moved around or whatever.
We brought in this person like that. So the
and a lot of morning shows are moving pieces like that too, where it's just we go back to it's a group thing where you pick one guy, you get the next guy. We're always a combo tag team where a morning show, they'll place people together. It'll be like, oh, this girl here, she's gonna laugh and do the entertainment report. Then we'll have this guy here, and he'll be like the guy who leads it. And then we have a comedian over here. Or like, there's just certain pieces where people don't know each other.
Interchangeable.
They throw them in a room and go, all right, go.
That's pretty wild.
We got a little bit of a benefit, I think, by just knowing each other for so long.
Yeah.
But being so young, like I said, we're not even 40 years old yet. And we've been doing like a morning show in the same city for 15 years.
Yeah, like that's
so
nuts.
like we should be like 60 now. We should be like the oldest dudes on the radio now.
But you're still like, but that's, I think that's what works to the benefits. Like you guys are still like young and hip with all the new shit. You know what I mean? Like you definitely follow better than I'm sure a lot of the older people.
We got like a 15-year, 10-year head start.
Yeah.
On like our radio careers. Like it should have probably taken us 10 more years to get where we are now.
Now you said top 40, like you were the youngest in the like top 40. How many stations are there, would you say, if you had to guess?
I don't know.
Like thousands?
Yeah.
I mean, radio's changed a lot in the past 10, 15 years, too, because a lot of markets just have syndicated morning shows. Like smaller markets.
What does that mean? Like the Ryan Seacrest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
Or
Ryan Seacrest. There's a guy out of New York, Elvis Duran, who's just on like, 50, 70, 100 stations or something like that. So a lot of smaller market don't even get like a live local morning show.
Yeah, they just do like the Ryan Seacrest and they'll fill in that.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand now.
Yeah, type that. So like there's still plenty of markets who have live morning shows, but there's a lot of markets who it's just easier for them to syndicate it rather than trust like a couple of 21 and 22-year-old assholes. Like,
but there's hundreds, if not 1,000 or more, still stations that have morning shows.
So how quick did you guys get into the top 40?
Like the music or just the?
No, I mean like as far as were you saying that like top 40? You're talking about like music?
Oh yeah, we're talking about like the format. Like
That's
the
what they
format's
call,
called
like,
like
our
top 40
format.
music, like pop music. It's just
okay.
another way of saying pop
Okay,
music.
I get what
it's
you're
just
saying.
like the top 40
Like
songs that are on the charts.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
Pittsburgh's like a top 30 markets, like 30th biggest, like metros, cities, like people wise. That's what we're talking about, like with that.
Sorry,
Like
that
New
was
York's
just,
number
That
one.
was just radio lingo that I'm
That's all
so
right.
used to right
That's
now.
all right.
Like,
I'm trying to.
New
I'm
York's
following
number one,
along.
like LA's 2.
Yeah, when I said like
Chicago.
in the like a top 30 market, Pittsburgh, that's just like by market
Like a big
size, like
city.
how many people live here and everything. But yeah, the format,
okay.
like on KISS and all the stations we've ever worked for, is top 40 music, which is just kind of like pop music,
All right.
where you can play a rock song if it's popular, you could play a rap song if it's popular.
Now, what are the guidelines of you playing music? Like, do you guys only have like a certain pool that you could pull from?
All pre-programmed.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. I could tell you at the start of the show what song's going to play at 9:40.
Now, could I?
I can do that through the whole day.
Now, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but are you genuine fans of like the top 40 stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
can,
think I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
I can listen to it. It just becomes white noise to us.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Because we listen to, and especially with our show, because we play, now that we've learned how to do our thing, and the ratings are still great as ever. We don't play as much music as we used to when we didn't know what the hell we were doing. Like I say, we don't know what we're doing now, but whatever we're doing has been working.
Making it work.
Yeah.
And like half the time when there's a song on in the studio, like I'll have my headphones on. I'll be plugged into my MacBook. I won't even be listening to like what's going on the station.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like I'll turn and it'll be like I'll see like there's 30 seconds left and we got to talk, and then I'll plug back in and be ready to go. So it really is like white noise. It's just
like different timing and everything.
Yeah.
So you don't even think about it, but then like if I'm driving with my daughter or something, it'll be like, oh yeah, I do know every single lyric to Old Town Road, whether I want to or not, whether I like it or not, just because I hear it, Yeah,
you have to hear it
so many times a day. But yeah, like I'm just a fan of music. We've always been fans of music, and I think it worked to our benefit that when we were growing up in high school, just being friends together, just being random oddly shaped dudes who were just driving around listening to whatever music, like I said, me and Bob would listen to the damn Backstreet Boys album and not even care and be singing I Want It That Way.
Yeah.
Like,
but that goes back to just burning CDs and making mixtapes, and it's just random.
Yeah, that's the best.
Yeah.
You hear
we go Bone Thugs to Backstreet Boys and not even think to, like
Notorious Thugs right after. Like, come
yeah.
on, you're good with that.
Oh man, Bob used to rap like what was that one song? Thug Love with Bone and Tupac.
Oh, that's good.
Bob used to have Tupac's verse in that down so bad. So like when we're in high school at parties or just driving around, when Pac's verse came on Thug Love, it was like that's Bob's turn. That's Bob's turn. And
Pac's rapping so mean in it too.
I'll probably be punished for hard living.
Yeah.
Line to the fact.
He's like, I have veins popping out of his fucking forehead.
You would be so sweaty just rapping Pac's verse in like Thug Love to where it was almost like something would take over your mind and body, and you're just like, all right, Tupac is in me right now. Here we go. I'll probably be punished for hard living. But we've always been fans of, like, I think most anything, we've always been huge fans of hip hop. Like, if we could listen to one music, we've always been huge hip hop fans. Like, we were the kids that before you would go online to buy tickets to go to shows, we would stay in line either overnight or early in the morning to get the best seats to Up and Smoke tour, Hard Knock Life tour, like anything that was big hip hop, like Cash Money Rough Riders.
Oh wow, Cash Money Rough Riders.
We would be there like first in line because we wanted to get the best tickets possible.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like I could have told that because like I said, you guys are. I mean, I see you with the 58s, like showing support with him and everything like that. And I saw that early on, and I was like, these dudes are like legit. Like, because I grew up with all them. Like, I grew up with them, and it's cool to see people like, yourself. Like, you guys are definitely on the level of like, a fucking, Mr. Rogers level, like as far as being well known in Pittsburgh.
I would think if Mr. Rogers was still around, he'd be a fan of the 58 stuff. So.
Absolutely, he'd be rapping for him to McKee, and he ain't even gonna be there. But
well, thank you, I appreciate that. I mean, we're nowhere close to Mr. Rogers, but
I mean, from an outsider's point. But if you think about it, it's like 96.1, and you guys, it's like you're a household name now. It's like people hear Stuff a Bus, people hear like all this shit that you guys do, and it's like, I mean, I would feel you guys are pretty well known. And now I'm curious because like you guys get started here and then you're kind of like honing in your craft and shit like that. Like when did you first get like the first good response? Like as far as like if you got a guest, if you got people that were like giving you like opportunities to like host, like I don't know, parties or how you guys do the Halloween parties and shit like that. I mean, that obviously probably couldn't start in the beginning.
Yeah, we would do what's funny is I think where we first did something where we like got out and touched our listeners and really started seeing the people that were listening to our show is when we first moved here. We lived downtown Penn Avenue in the Penn Garrison, right?
Okay.
So this is like we moved here 15 years ago and we're living downtown in the Penn Garrison. We did not know coming to Pittsburgh that people don't live downtown Pittsburgh. So we were just like,
and that's when there was nothing downtown.
Nothing. Like it's cool to live downtown now.
Yeah.
There's bars and restaurants everywhere.
Shit to do.
If you're young, like living downtown, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like there was one restaurant called Mark's, like on Penn, and that was it. Like that was all. That's all we had. Nothing else down there, and us.
There wasn't like Market Square and shit like that. Whenever you first moved down there,
it was nothing.
I
like
mean, there
it.
was,
I guess.
but it was like that was still
Yeah, I
across
guess
town.
it-
You have to walk across. You know,
it's a good point.
And
And
there
it
was
was-
nothing in between. You know,
And it was nothing like it is today.
and it was
at
a
all.
ghost. After 5 o'clock, it's ghost town. Like
Yeah.
everybody cleared out.
So we lived at the Penn Garrison when we first started doing the show and everything, and they had an awesome deck at the. I mean, they still do. Penn Garrison is still down there and everything, and the places are really nice. Probably cost way more to live down
Yeah,
there than it
way-
did when
way
we
too much.
when we first went there, because we were one of the first in
You're dropping a check there now.
when they were. Yeah, oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they had this awesome deck outside, like. It wasn't on the roof, but it was just like
It was
third
like
or fourth
one- yeah,
floor.
a couple layers down, but you could still see like into PNC Park and like over the river. And,
Yeah,
like,
good
it was-
view.
Yeah,
It was an
ridiculous.
awesome view. So we would have deck parties, and we got with the Penn Garrison. We're just like, hey,
Oh,
listen,
wow.
we do a radio show. Like, is it okay if we like invite 20 listeners to just have a deck party with us? And they just were like happy to get their name out there because they were still trying to rent units.
Yeah.
So they would let us kind of just have listeners bring in like food and beer and everything. And we would just wait for like Pirates fireworks nights or something.
Yeah.
And we would just have deck parties.
Piggyback off of that.
Yeah, so that's what we would do. We would just hang out with listeners and have deck
Wow.
parties. It was kind of like the same thing we did in Philly, but a more controlled environment.
Yeah,
in
controlled.
Philly, we were just literally giving people our address and being like, "Show up here to the Pembroke Apartments. This is
Right,
where
right.
we live."
Can you imagine if you gave your address to people now?
I mean, it's just
And
yeah.
invite everybody over for a party.
You'd
don't
have
think-
crazy
weird.
people
Yeah,
show
get weird
up.
real quick.
I don't know if we'd be married after that. I don't think our wives would appreciate that. But I think that's one of the first events that I remember in Pittsburgh where people got to meet us in person and really see like the genuine people we are.
Yeah.
And that like, it's not an act or anything. Like me and Bob are really best friends. This is really who we are. We're actually talking and we're the same people that we are on the radio as we are off the radio. That
Yeah.
was the first thing I really remember about just meeting our listeners,
Yeah, we still know a couple people from those years too.
which is
There's still a couple
the
good
best.
friends, Those are
Yeah.
like some real OG people from that would hang out with us back then.
Yeah, that's pretty wild that, because, like, I mean, if you think about it now, we just had the anniversary of kids that 9 years that happened. I remember
man.
where I was whenever you guys were streaming that. I was working at Bowser Pontiac on Route 51, and I've heard some of the Mac shit before, a couple of songs, and then I heard you guys like play all this shit, and I'm just like, damn, like
Yeah.
this is crazy, and like for him to be on like your show, I was like, oh, like this dude's like, he's fucking blowing up, and it was cool to like, like over the years you have like the opportunities to like talk to these people to get more noticed and exposure and shit like that, so you guys got to do a lot of cool shit. It's
Yeah.
like all them like you work with like Scare House, like the like all these events. It's pretty interesting to see how it all like manifests itself.
Yeah.
Like after how many years do you think that you guys like made a name for it here, where you guys like everything's gonna be fine, like we're gonna be here?
I think the first time that we could go into contract negotiations and get no cut contracts,
Yeah.
where if they fired us, we would get paid anyway.
Yeah, yeah, that
I
was a
feel
big
like
deal.
once we flexed that muscle and we were able to have contracts that would pay us out even if they fired us.
How many
that-
years in?
I'm trying to think. Like, was that like 5 years?
Yeah.
6, 7?
Yeah, probably.
Because our first contract was only like 1 year, and then it was
We
like
went year
contract
year by
negotiation.
year for a while
Yeah.
because obviously we were a
Yeah.
we were a morning radio anomaly.
Like they didn't trust us. They figured we'd blow it up somehow.
Yeah, volatile people.
We never did, though. We never did. We got close, but we never did.
Yeah.
That's
So,
pretty.
yeah, it was a couple of years.
I feel like that's the first point where I'm just like, wow, they actually want to give us like a 3-year deal
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
like
yeah.
they have to pay us out if they fire us. I'm just like, that's when we felt pretty safe. Like we're not gonna have to move back to Michigan and sit on my back porch and Bob's parents wondering if we're gay or anything like that. I mean,
I think it
we're
was
both
like-
married at that point anyway. Though,
I think
so.
it was like our second year here where we knocked B94 out for the first time. Like they went away just because their ratings went.
That's who was like the
Yeah.
number one.
I mean, for the music that we played before we came in here,
yeah, that was like the main competition when we came in. I think at that point it was like some sort of variation. It was like B93.
Yeah, it's called something different,
something like that. I don't know. They changed names for a while, but that was pretty much who we were brought in to just.
That was like the moment where our bosses were just like, "Oh shit, these guys could do it." You know? Like I think that was the moment where
they accepted it. They accepted it.
Where it wasn't much of like a battle or anything like that. Like they're playing the same music as us as we're playing or something like that. When we came in and just like destroyed that off the bat, then I think that's when it just became real for everybody. We're just like, all right, this is a thing that might be here for a little bit.
This is happening. Now, was it always called the Freak Show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morning Freak Show since day one.
Now, did it come from just you guys being weird?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. That's pretty much it. There's no big backstory to it.
It just kind of fits with our.
I mean, we use our real names. He's Mike, I'm Bob. That's like our real names in real life. I don't know. Just
why do you think? Why do radio people have like radio
names?
Can't
radio
figure it out,
names.
man. I don't know.
I don't understand it either.
Even like people that have like normal names, like say
normal
your
names.
name's Steve. Like, why would you change your name to like?
This is Hoppin' Steve.
Right.
Well, even like Bob's saying, like there's somebody who could be named Steve but goes by Rick on the radio. It's just like,
yeah.
Why? Why not just be Rick? Like
I think a lot of it goes back to when me and Bob first started doing our own show because, like I keep saying, we didn't know what we were doing. So there's a lot of morning shows, especially in our format, like pop music and top 40 music, that they do the same thing across the whole country. Whether you're in New York, whether you're in LA, whether you're in Omaha, you're going to get the same kind of show.
Like there's literally services where we could pay, any morning show could pay, most of them do, where you just print it every morning. They
print out a sheet that is like
script.
They write shitty jokes for you.
Oh.
They actually have callers that call in and you can record awful bits. And
yeah, there's like actors and
lot.
actresses that get paid where you can pay a service and be like, okay, we need an outrageous relationship call for tomorrow morning. Boom.
Wow.
Got it. You can record it before your show. You can record it the night before. Yeah. And it's funny because like there's a lot of different things in like pop radio. Like you'll hear of stations doing something called like War of the Roses or something like that, where they'll get somebody on the phone where they're like, all right, I think my boyfriend's cheating on me. So then the radio station will like act like they're calling the boyfriend and we're like, we'll work for so-and-so flower shop. Who would you like to send a dozen roses to?
And he'll always be like, oh yeah, give it to Karen. And then Sarah will be on the phone and be like, you son of a bitch. And then he'll be like, oh.
He wanted to send roses. It's all fake.
Yeah.
It's all fake.
Wow. That's
any radio station that does prank phone
ridiculous.
calls, all fake. All pre-recorded, all fake. And
there's like some actors in LA just making bank off like recording awful fake radio bullshit.
But that's what like pop music morning radio has been since forever.
Yeah.
And still stations do it to this day. And when we started, we were just like, it seems like too much work to be fake.
Yeah, to lie about
it
shit.
It just seems like too much fucking work. Like every day you have to be like, you guys won't believe this. We have a prank call. Bob called a brake shop, and you will not believe what these people... It's just too much.
I never even thought about
fake.
that. I never even thought about it being like set up and shit like that.
Do you think somebody's going to let you just clown them in a prank phone call?
Yeah, I guess it's a good
And then be
point.
like, go ahead, play that with like my business's name on
Put it on your podcast.
on the radio.
That's
like,
a good
yes,
point.
put
Yeah.
me on blast all over the place.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
Who
really.
would say yes to that, you know?
Wow.
There's no benefit in that for that person. But radio stations do it on a daily basis. You know how hard that would be to get a good prank phone call every
deal with it every
single
day.
day of the week?
Yeah.
It's not possible. That's why it's literally not possible.
So like them Steve Harvey shows whenever they're prank phone calling people, a lot of that's probably set up.
Yeah, that's
crazy to
Steve
even
taking
think
a
about.
break right there, man.
Steve taking a break.
taking a break right
Brushing
there.
his
You
teeth.
legally can't like put people on the radio without their consent for something like that. Like you can't just call somebody, prank phone call them, and run it back on the radio without their consent.
Yeah, I guess never thought about that either.
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially a big show like the Steve Harvey radio pro. Like it's on
Yeah.
a bunch of stations.
So
all
that's a
over the
syndicate
place.
show,
Yeah,
right?
like any
Okay.
syndicated show, like there's no way.
They would sue the hell out of them.
Yeah.
Now you guys your guys' show is like it oozes authenticity because like it's so bizarre. You
Well,
know?
from day one, we just never, knowing what morning radio is, and like everybody has a notion of morning radio, of it just being cheesy and kind of clownish and like wacky, and just like it sounds the same now as it did in 1995. Morning radio just gets a bad rap, especially like pop music radio, because it's just like, oh, here's the wacky morning zoo, and we are always just like, we can't be that. We can't fake it. We can't do what everybody else does. I don't care if it sucks.
But Yinz knew it in the beginning. Like, Yinz had to do different.
We had to, because but we didn't know anything else.
Yeah.
So we didn't have the format of like, this is how you do a morning show.
That's a good point.
We were thrown into the deep end, and it's just like, well, let's see if these fuckers can swim.
And then it started working though, and our bosses were just like, well, it's fucking working. Let's not fuck with them. Let's just see how long it goes for, and then it just kept going.
Wow.
But we just never, we always wanted to be authentic to ourselves, because it's so much easier to just be real than it is to like just be fake.
100%.
At some point, you're going to come in on like a Wednesday and be like, okay, I don't feel like doing the act today.
Just like all this shit again.
Absolutely.
Which is fine, because
especially if it's fake shit. It's like you don't want to do it anymore.
Which is good, because like if we come in and we're having a shitty day or something like that, we'll just tell people.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, if you guys have days where you just like, everyone goes to work where they don't feel good and shit like that. You have them days, I'm sure. I feel like I've heard you guys say like, it's
like
one of them
two
days.
Fridays ago, like I had a migraine so bad.
Yeah.
Like I woke up just feeling like hell, like migraine just beating out of my head. And I got in, usually I get in here like 4 a.m. hour, like late 4 a.m. hour. I didn't get in until like 5:45. Like I didn't even know if I was going to make it. I text him just like,
I think I seen that on your Snapchat, I think, whenever he walked in.
I'm just like, dude, I don't know. I'm running really late, not feeling good. Just going to wait and try to get this headache out of my head before I drive. And, by the time 6 a.m. hour sucks, 7 a.m. hour, I was feeling all right, Like, usually we can snap out of it.
Yeah. But it's funny, though, because
some bullshit will make us laugh, or, like, something will just change it.
A little bit of relief.
I think that's with listeners, too, though. Like, people have a shitty day driving in their car, and then we can say something or do something, and,
100%.
Hopefully it makes them laugh and turns
100%
it a little bit.
Absolutely.
But since we started with that realness, though, like, that day, or, like, some days we'll come in on a Friday and be like, listen, we're going 65% tonight. Like, don't even expect like a good effort from us today. And those always end up being the best shows anyway, where it feels like it's the greatest show.
Yeah.
But we will literally come in and be like, guys, we are mailing it in today. Can't wait for this one. Because
we'll start playing animal mating noises, and next thing you know, it's like 45 minutes later in the show, and we went through like 4 animals fucking, and we're just laughing.
95 tweets of people saying that like, I almost wrecked my car listening to this.
Yeah. I feel like we have been saving up a bunch of like swear words too, just for a podcast, and like we're pushing them all out now, right? Like there was never a spoken thing at the beginning. How do you guys get
that? Yeah, I swear too much. My mother listens to all these, and she's like, "You said fuck 25 times, and you need to quit it. You need to quit it." I'm just like, just don't listen.
All right.
But I mean, like, how do you guys like? I mean, you obviously swear in your day-to-day life. How do you turn that switch off?
This is perfect. We have already discussed this before you came in here. Nobody. All right. So here's the thing: how a radio station is set up. Like, if you have a caller on or a guest, your station is in what's called like delay.
Yeah.
So what's happening in the studio is like 7 seconds delay from what's actually going out over the air. So it's not like live.
So you can mute it or whatever.
Somebody,
I don't know how it works. Yeah.
Don't know. We didn't stay in broadcasting school long enough to learn.
But I know that we're in delay, where it's like we're obviously live, but like if there's that little buffer zone where we can erase it.
Yeah. So if somebody swears, we hit a button called the dump button, and it will like it won't like beep out the word, because it wouldn't know what word to beep it out.
Yeah.
It'll just dump like 7 seconds of audio, and then it'll like ramp back up. So it'll sound really weird to a listener, like the radio station skipped, but really somebody cursed, right?
Okay.
So this is just absolutely perfect for today, because, I mean, obviously we don't swear on the air.
Yeah.
It's never happened before, anything like that. You have this buffer where you just know my job's on the line. I can't swear. I can't say shit, on the radio, because I could get fined. I could, get a suspension. Who knows what happens.
What words can you say? damn and shit.
Yeah, you can say damn.
Well, yeah, you can say damn. You can't say shit. You know, you can't say all the normal.
I
cuss words,
I talked to Abby from the X, and she said that I asked her the same question. I was like, "How do you not swear?" Because as soon as she sat down and we started doing a podcast, fuck came out.
Yeah, a lot that's of what I'm saying. Like it just builds up inside of us, and once we get comfortable enough, then it just starts flying.
A lot of it's innuendos, or like how you use the word too. Like that determines like
that makes sense.
I can say pissed, but I can't say like I pissed on. You know, there's a bunch
like you could say you're pissed off, but you can't say I pissed on my cat or something like that. You know, so there's I don't know.
I mean, not that I ever said pissed on my cat,
but here's the perfect thing.
But yeah,
and this I'm telling you, you're gonna think I'm lying. I said shit on the radio today. First time ever. In the history of our show.
In 15 years, you've never sworn.
In 15 years, we have never sworn. We don't take a lot of callers on our show. We don't even have a lot of guests on our show. So we don't ever have to worry about like hitting the dump button.
Yeah.
I said shit on the show today. Now, if you're listening to us on iHeartRadio, you're going to hear that.
Okay.
Because even if we dump it,
the stream
hears it. So there was like 2 people or so on the stream that were listening that sent us messages as soon as it happened. You're like, you just said shit. But we dumped it, so like anybody else listening didn't hear it.
Yeah.
And anybody who hears our podcast didn't hear it. I don't even know what was going through my mind, but we were talking about The Little Mermaid, right? So The Little Mermaid, the old Disney movie, right?
Yeah.
Today we were talking about something like the guy Harry Styles from One Direction.
I saw that.
He's not going to play Prince Eric in this live Disney remake of Little Mermaid they're doing. So I grew up, I liked Little Mermaid when I was growing up. I liked Disney soundtracks when I was growing up.
It's fire.
It is.
Mike has a lot of Disney like.
There's so many bangers in Disney movies.
I'm saying every one of them right now.
Seriously.
Oh, wow.
Seriously. So
I don't know any of them.
Like I was talking about Little Mermaid and I was just like, I had the Little Mermaid cassette tape when I was growing up, and I was just like, it hit like Dr. Dre, The Chronic to me.
Hell yeah.
And I go, I used to bump that shit, and then me and Bob just looked at each other like, and then we hit the dump button.
Like I had to turn to hit the dump button. His was right in front of him, so we each have one. I'm just like,
wow.
Boom, boom.
And we both hit it, so it didn't go out over the air, and then we just transitioned into something else, and nobody.
No. Just like, oh, and then you really liked Aladdin too, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we went to talk about something else, but
just a couple people over, that were on stream.
Then we have a heart attack where I'm just like, oh my god, did the dump button work? Because you
never use it.
You never use it.
Yeah.
And then we'll go on Twitter and nobody was saying anything. I'm like, all right, if it really got over the air,
it would come in.
Then we went back and listened to it, and of course it didn't get out on the air or anything like that. But people that were listening to the stream, they heard it and they're just like, you don't expect it. So there weren't a lot of people that were just like, shit, you said shit. But I can't believe, and I told Bob, I'm like, it's so funny that we're recording a podcast today where we're allowed to swear, and there's no. And
I know, that's what's funny about it. Little Mermaid, that shit bangs.
It's so good because we've never had a I swore on the air story because we've just been able to hold it back. And then I now have the story about me saying shit on the air, and it was all because, I couldn't keep it in because Little Mermaid soundtrack slaps so hard.
It really does.
I was just
really does.
I wore the shit out of that tape.
Wow, that's pretty crazy though. Now, what happens if you, what happens? You get fined?
Not really.
No.
I don't even know how it works.
It all depends. It depends on how many people complain.
Somebody has to be offended, and then there's a whole real process of somebody to fill shit out.
Okay.
So it matters if somebody cares.
If like a real swear word gets across on the air, a lot of times nobody cares.
Yeah.
Right?
No one cares.
Like if you just hear.
There aren't people out looking to get me and Mike in trouble either. When you hear about Stern getting fined all those years and stuff like that, there were people
listening, just waiting
to just
for
bury
something.
that. Dude,
yeah, they just wanted a reason.
That's how you know about fines mostly. But there's nobody.
A lot of times
we're pretty good dudes. There aren't people out after us. A
lot of times if it happens on any radio show, if you just hear it. It's not going to happen a lot. So if you hear it real quick, a lot of times you won't even think you heard it.
Yeah,
You'll
people won't even notice it really.
Yeah, exactly. But
it's like some of the shit on
whole,
here. It's like I'm like, someone might hear this like jump, or if I have to clip something together.
Yeah.
But it's like people don't even notice while they're listening to it.
You'll hear it, but nobody else will.
Yeah, you're just way overcritical of it. Now,
but there's like a whole FCC filing thing and process like that. I mean, we've never been fined in our
that's good.
careers
You guys,
at all. But
I wouldn't assume that you guys had a lot of enemies. I feel like you're genuinely pretty nice.
That's the crazy thing too, is like a lot of different shows, like no matter what, if you're just in any sort of media, radio, TV or something like that, you're just going to get people that don't want you. And like, I don't think we're anything special, but we don't have any enemies at all. Like, we don't have like a certain person who listens to us.
Yeah.
And like will, send us messages like you guys suck or anything. Like, we just don't have those people. It's really weird.
You never did in the beginning either.
I think in the beginning, maybe like, I think when we first started, when we had like a 3-person show.
Yeah.
Because our show was just a little bit different. I think there was just like a couple more people that, I don't know if it was more so hate. It was more so like,
you guys are new.
What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Like, why are you talking about, I'm not used to hearing somebody just talk randomly
I'm not used to hearing about Little Mermaid slapping.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I mean, if anything, the closest we get to a complaint now is just like, why don't you guys play more music, which that doesn't even really offend me. Just like, we don't really control any of that anyways, and
or some people will just be like,
why don't you play less music?
I like you guys, but I don't like the music. And then
that one too. It's
but now we just tell people, we're just like, well, cool, wait till after the show and listen to the podcast.
Yeah, right.
Our podcast is just our show without the music. So there's been so many times where people are just like, I like your guys' show. Like some 50-year-old dude would be like, I like your guys' show, but I'm not sitting in to listen to Ariana Grande all morning. It's like, all right, cool. Well, just wait till like 10:30.
Yeah, it's understandable.
Whole show's up there.
Understandable for sure. Now, what about the dynamic with 3 people compared to 2 people? Like, I mean,
I don't even remember doing a show with 3
remember
people. To be honest,
like I remember we were talking about like how they were bringing people in there to interview or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, after they unleashed me and Mike to do the show together, they're like, oh, well, let's try a girl on your show.
Yeah.
And I remember they brought one girl in one day. And it's just like,
that ain't gonna work.
No one remembers that.
Mike sits here in the studio. I sit here. She sits in this corner. And she didn't say one damn word. Like, she stared at us like we were, like she was at the zoo looking at, like
the monkeys throwing poop
like,
at each other. She was like, what is happening right now?
Like, she had no clue when to jump in. Like, we were doing the same, like, talking about ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit.
I think that, I mean, like, obviously you guys starting together in the beginning, like, had to help out because, like, I don't know if there's a lot of people that could fit in with what the hell you guys... what even comes up into your heads.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Now, what about you said before your parents were super, I don't know, hesitant for what you were doing. You thought yins were gay, being bums. Now, what do they think about it now?
Oh, I mean.
Oh, yeah, they're proud.
It's like.
They've always been supportive. I think just going 3 months for that period without a job, it wasn't like they were like mad or anything, but they were just like, do you guys have a plan?
Yeah.
But they've always supported whatever we wanted to do. And like,
I'm sure you guys get noticed anywhere you go. By someone.
It's funny because whenever like my mom's in town or if I have random people visiting me in town, and I go out somewhere, people will either recognize me or we'll be at a restaurant or something and I'll get up from the restaurant and we'll be done with dinner or something. And then I'll go, all right, you want to, go check Twitter or something like that. And we'll go check Twitter. And like every time it's somebody that's like, I see you eating, at wherever.
Like, that's one thing that's really weird. It's just like, we'll be out to eat and people take a picture of us eating, but not say anything and like tweet it to us.
Yeah, that's
it's
kind
like
of
bizarre. I saw you. It's like, all right, well, you could have came up and said, hey.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, you were eating at like some pizza place.
Yeah.
Somebody took a picture of Bob.
I saw that. I saw that on Twitter.
And then he sent it to me, though, and he's just like, I'm watching Bob eat pizza right now. I'm just like, okay, what do you want me to do with this? Go say hi to him. Like, we're not mean people or anything.
Yeah, anything you guys got to say or anything, it comes up in Twitter, I'm sure. It's like you just see all the shit. Now, I mean, over these years, you guys build up a pretty insane roster of just like, I mean, I guess like everyday listeners. I mean, you got this crazy Italian guy that I've heard so much shit with him.
Yeah.
Can I ask you guys what happened with Eileen from Blawnox?
sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again. We're sorry. You have reached a number that has been disconnected or is no longer in service. If you feel you have reached this recording in error, please check the number and try your call again.